Hi there, welcome to or welcome back to Difference Books, or every books I talk to you about them. I thought we would do a weekly wrap up since I have not done one in a while, just what I'm working on reading and what I've read so far. It's gonna be really short and simple, so we're gonna do a little, maybe quarter thing at the end. We'll see, because I have two books that are consuming me. My attention span has been very limited lately, and so normally I'll have like 5, 6, 7 books on a go at a time. But two things have happened. One is that I picked a very long epic fantasy to read digitally. And then I picked a very long epic fantasy to buddy read on audio. My time in the car has not been a whole lot right now. And then my time at work has been mostly in the lab with other people where we are transferring data between each other. I am mostly recording data. I'm writing things down as people shout them out to me. So I don't have a lot of time to have my earbuds in at work. I don't spend a lot of time in the car driving. And therefore I listen to a couple hours of my audiobook a day, and that's it. So things have been progressing kind of slowly. I have been kind of listening a little bit at home lately just to try to like speed it up, but normally I have other things I like to catch up on, such as the YouTube people that I follow and friend conversations and things like that when I get home. So I don't do a lot of audiobook reading in my house unless it's a long chore day. So all that to say, I don't know how much I've gathered of this in the last week and how much it's just been since the start of the month. It is the 14th today. We're 2 weeks into April. So this is me just being like, here's where I am so far in April. And then starting next week, if I keep doing these, we will go from there. I was really enjoying doing these, so I'm going to try to get back into these little weekly chats. So let's talk A Day of Fallen Night. That is my audiobook right now. I am not enjoying it as much as Priory of the Orange Tree. This is set, I believe, of like 500 years or something like that before the events of Priory of the Orange Tree. It's set at least quite a while back. We're in the year 509. I don't remember what year we were in for Priory. And I know Samantha Shannon recently did either a TikTok or a reel or a TikTok that got posted onto reels of the timeline of these things. So I'll see if I can find it and like put it in here maybe.
Flowers is a prequel to the Priory of the Orange Tree, and you might be thinking, well, wasn't A Day of Fallen Night also a prequel to Priory? And you would be absolutely right about that. But whereas A Day of Fallen Night is set 500 years before Priory, Among the Burning Flowers is set only 2 years before Priory, and in fact the ending of Among the Burning Flowers overlaps with the beginning of the Priory of the Orange Tree.
That would probably be helpful. So I am reading these because I want to read the new one that comes out called Among the Burning Flowers. Priory was on my TBR. However, having read Priory, I liked it. It was a 4. It was fine, but it probably would be something I didn't feel like I really wanted to continue with the series in unless I had agreed to do this as a buddy read. It's fine. There's nothing really wrong with it, but it's not really like speaking to me. So we are following actually 4 characters this time. So we are following someone from the East. Her name is Demai. I'm listening to the audio so I can pronounce them correctly. So Demai, she is a god singer. So her role was to live up on this highest mountain and praise the dragon gods. And she discovers that she is the heir to the throne. And so she's like now dealing with all these court machinations, and the dragons have awakened. And the East, if you have read Priory of the Orange Tree, the East worships dragons, but they are water-based dragons. They're a little more like Chinese dragons. So in the South, we're following 3 people. In the introduction to this book, there are like 3 prologues, and it tells you kind of the story of who you're following or whose offspring you're following, kind of. In the South, we're following Esbar, Siyu, and Tunava. And Tunava is my favorite in the whole book. She's like the main reason I'm continuing to read, is I really love her story and her character. And she's kind of the main person we're following, but in the beginning we're introduced to Siyu through her birth. This is set at the Priory. So we're getting some background on the Priory, some information, all the stuff that's happening. Siyu has gotten herself into a bit of trouble, and she's like 17, I believe, in the story. Demai is 28. And then we're going up to the west, where we're following the daughter of, I believe, Sovereign the Second or the Third, Glorian, and she is 16? She's 15 or 16. I think she's 16, and she's like just about to turn 17 or something like that. So we're following her as she learns what it means to have to try to be queen. She's just kind of following through her training and dealing with the fact that she doesn't feel like her mother loves her. Her mother was the daughter of a weak queen, Marion the Weak or something like that. And so her mother is very like severe, and she, just like the sovereign that we follow in Priory of the Orange Tree, isn't sure she wants to do the whole heir thing. The whole thing with the Barathnets in the West is that they only give birth to like one child, and it's a daughter that looks almost identical to them, and it's her job to rule the realm. So obviously, we are very protective because we only get one heir. So we're very protective of that daughter. So it's a weird system. I'm not a big fan of like the religion in the West. They follow the saint. It seems to be a little bit inspired by like Catholicism, a very strict version. It's very like, I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable. But basically, in the story that's happening is the, if you've read Priory, it's the awakening of the dragons, essentially. So it's the Day of Fallen Night. It's essentially the first battle between the fire dragons and the water dragons. Is essentially what we have going on in the story. It's very, there's a lot going on, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like there's a lot going on, and that's kind of what's getting me, is I just want there to be more and simultaneously less pages. I think I really would have liked this if it had been a trilogy, like the Day of Fallen Night trilogy, and we had South, East, and West, and they were all taking place simultaneously, but we didn't have like the books that we were reading at the same time. So anyway, that's where we're at. I'm just like, it's fine. I will continue. I'm enjoying doing the buddy read. I'm having fun talking about it. It's not the worst book I've ever read. The writing is not bad. I feel like it constantly needs like some oomph behind it. There's just not enough there. It doesn't have that muchiness.
More muchier.
That I like. So the other thing that I'm reading is The Sword of Kaigan by M.L. Wang. I'm obsessed, but also very like intimidated still by the book. I'm only just about 300 pages in. I'm at like 45% or something like that. Really, really liking this. So we follow two characters in this book. We follow Misaki, who is a woman that is married to the leader of this, well, the brother of the leader of the village, essentially, kind of. It's kind of a confusing, antiquated system, and that is the kind of the point of the book. But Misaki is a housewife who has a more varied past than is expected of her as a housewife and mother in this world that is kind of somewhat based on Japan. And then her son, Mamoru, who is growing up to try to be this leader of this village, essentially. He's a Matsuda, which means like his family line is super important. They're really good at swordplay. They have this thing that they do called the Whispering Blade. It's elemental magic. So in this world, these people that we're following from Kaigan, they do water magic or ice magic or snow magic, basically anything to do with water molecules. They use that as their magic. They are also sword fighters. And it's interesting. And then we have the Ranganese, which I think she said are inspired by China. I read this interview. I'll see if I can find it again and I'll put it here so you can go read it. It doesn't really spoil anything, but essentially it's kind of inspired by China. They are air magic, and there's a war that's going to start. And in the beginning, we have Mamoru learning that his country just feeds him propaganda and has been lying to him so that he will sacrifice himself for the good of the country. And he is 14 years old and he is grappling with that. He's struggling with it. But it's not a YA book, because just as much as we're following him, we're following Misaki. And also it's not really a YA coming of age story. It's dealing a lot with propaganda and war and controlling abusive families. And I will say that I was not prepared for, there is a miscarriage scene in here. And there's an abuse that follows the miscarriage. So not only is the miscarriage kind of like not as graphically described as something like in the horror that I like, Red Dog, where I said there was like a very, very graphic miscarriage scene, but it is explicitly described. And then there is graphic abuse of Misaki following her miscarriage. And I don't think that's a spoiler. I think that is a content warning. I wasn't prepared for it. Those things aren't necessarily something that put me off of a book, but I was like, oh, wasn't expecting that. That's a little rough. So there is more to come in this book. It is pretty intense from what I've been told. I am really looking forward to where we're going from here. I like the conversations about what we're doing. I also did not know that it was kind of a modern / futuristic story. So while the rest of the world has kind of advanced, where they have like planes and they have these things called, I don't remember what they call them, but they're like basically like communicator watches. Kaigan doesn't really have them. Kaigan is very old school, very traditionalist. Women aren't allowed to do this. Women aren't allowed to do that. They like still dress in the old ways and they act in the old ways, and everything around them is more advanced. So it's like this weird little pocket that is kind of kept a specific way for the benefit of the government. So it's very interesting on that aspect. So those are the two things that I'm reading right now. I'll give you my little Q1 update. I have been working on the book tracker that I talked about. So this is my leaf vine book tracker. This is, this one doesn't count, that's April. So this is everything that I've read this year so far. Before this one, I was at 50 books. So I'll walk you through this because I'm actually really happy with this. I started with like a silly skinny scarf thing and it just wasn't working. And I was like, okay, at some point I gotta stop doing it for the bit and do it because I was enjoying what I'm doing. So, I have a dog, there's dog hair everywhere. So each book that I read has a leaf associated and the color tells me something about the book. Each chain is one day. So there are 365 chains, so that the book can go in on the day I finished it, which I think is kind of fun. I am going to go back and add in some colored beads for my favorite books, or I have some clear seed beads so it looks kind of like morning dew is my attempt. So black, I can't describe black till I describe everything else. So blue, this is fantasy. If it has a white, I'm calling it variegation. If it has a white variegation in it, this means it was YA or middle grade. So this is a YA fantasy. Purple is nonfiction. The pinky red magenta is horror. This kind of minty lime is a manga or a graphic novel. This teal is science fiction. And then black then is everything else. So this could be a romance or a lit fic, or I read a couple poetry books. I put them here. I don't think I put them. Oh no, I put them as purple. So they're nonfiction. They're not really, but they are. So that's what I decided they were. So that is the tracker. So you can see on some days I went ham on the manga and there's like a chunk of them. And then on other days there's big, is it that serious? There's big gaps where nothing got read. So nothing got finished. So that is my book tracker. It is pretty long. I mean, it's 90, what is it? I think it's 100 days. I just did it. I just counted it out. I think it's like 100 days. So this is where we're at. And then we've got all of this left. This has been really easy to keep up with. Each leaf takes me 5 minutes to crochet and attach. If I'm going slow, 10 minutes to attach it, because another 5 minutes because I'm just being picky about how I'm attaching it. I do need to block these ones. You can see like they kind of curl, so these ones have been blocked and these ones have not been. So I need to block these. And I've been able to block them on or off the chain, which is great. So that is my tracker currently. Really happy with that. I don't know what I'm doing next. I am trying to finish The Sword of Kaigen. I don't know what I'm going to read after that. I am going to go upstairs and work on a project for a little bit and then read that. My goal is to finish it by the end of this week though. So hopefully I will be checking in with you that I have finished The Sword of Kaigen. My boyfriend and I decided we are going to the spring fair this weekend, and whichever day we decide to do that, the other day we are just going to rot. So he wants to play some video games, so I'm going to read, and we're going to do that gamer boyfriend reader girlfriend thing. So I'm going to spend the day reading and doing some cleaning and convincing him to do a little bit of cleaning, and then we're gonna chill. So hopefully this weekend I will be able to finish The Sword of Kaigen and catch up with you on what I'm going to be reading next in the next one of these. So if you liked this, please like it. If you have any opinions on anything I talked about, Sword of Kaigen or A Day of Fallen Night, please let me know in the comments. Like, does it pick up? Because I'm almost 50% in and I need it to pick up. I think I'm 44% into A Day of Fallen Night and I am ready for something to happen. And I'm not really a big fan of Glorian. So let me know your feelings on Glorian. Curious. Tell me why I should like her, or tell me who your favorite is if you've read it, because I'm very curious. So I will talk to you soon with something else.